Bonjour and good morning. Welcome to WASA Distance Education Center and PLAR Geography. So we're into week 7. We didn't have any classes yesterday, and hopefully everybody had a good Thanksgiving. I know I ate a lot. So this week we are looking into finishing up lesson 1, so that's in PLAR Geography, and then we will start with lesson 2, and that will finish up our PLAR History and Geography for term 1A. So again, students are also reminded that IL courses, you can still sign up anytime. So it started from September 3rd you'll be from September 3rd to June 13th. So you can register anytime, but you have to complete the course on or before June 13th, 2025. Or if you're completing or registering for term 3, you have to complete it before August 22nd. So students are encouraged to contact your teacher or your tutor marker if you're needing help. IL students can also expect regular telephone calls from their teacher, of course, of the course that you have registered for. Reminder, there will be prize draws for registered students and also your DECs. And again, stay tuned for updates on what the prizes will be. So if you submit work, your name will go into a draw. If you earn a credit, you will also have your name put into that draw as well. So you have terms 1A, 1B, 2A, and 2B for the end of the term draws. Travel, I will be traveling on Thursday, October 17th. I will be going to Mishke-Gugamang to visit the Learning Center. I believe it's myself, Bonnie, and Doug. And again, we'll firm up the staff that's going for Thursday, October 17th. So if we have any students from Mishke-Gugamang that's listening, make sure that you drop by and say hello. If you're still unsure about trying the culminating instead of the key questions, make sure that you ask for a sample test so that you can review the format of the culminating activity. It doesn't hurt to just do the culminating, especially if, for example, if you're feeling confident about math, then maybe you should try the culminating activity for math if you have to do the grade 9-10 equivalent credit for math. So you have that option to do the open book culminating activity instead of the key questions in the lessons. And that means even if you have already completed a lesson, you may have already completed the key questions for lesson 1 and 2, and then you decide, oh, I think I can do this. It doesn't seem to be difficult. Go ahead and contact myself or Bonnie, depending on which PLAR subject that you are doing, and then we will send you the culminating activity. It can be emailed to your DEC or to you. Remember, supervision is not required. That means you don't need to do it at the Learning Center. You don't have to have your DEC supervising you. Students can take the culminating activity home. Successful students will receive their equivalent credits, and then you can go on to your senior PLAR application and then register for your senior courses. Remember, to pass the culminating activity, you need 50% and above. If for some reason the culminating activity is not passed, then we will ask you to complete the key questions in the lessons. That will prepare you for attempting the culminating activity again. You are permitted several attempts to pass the culminating activity. So students who decide to do the key questions, remember that all the PLAR packages are the same It doesn't matter if you registered in radio, Zoom, or IL. You can continue where you left off. So maybe you were working on your 2023-24 key questions. Let's say you completed lesson 1 there, and then this year you can continue on with that, or you can ask for the 24-25 school year lesson book. On the cover pages of the booklets or lesson book, whichever you want to call it, the WASA studio number is there. So if you need to contact the teacher, the number is there for you. It's a 1-800 number. If you want to listen, you can go on to Bell Express View. If you have Bell Express View, go to channel 972. The Zoom link for my classes are there. The meeting ID and the passcode is there if you need that. The office number, again, the toll-free number, the fax number, that's also toll-free. And then my email and my Facebook and YouTube are the same. So the profile name is the same, J. Mercer Wasa. PLAR Geography, you have 2 lessons, lessons 1 and 2. Again, on the cover page of lesson 1 and lesson 2, all the information that you need to get a hold of me is also on that cover page. If you can't participate in class but you would like to watch the classes, you can go to YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. It says J. Mercer Wasa. However, this will end next term. So in term 1B, okay, I will be getting rid of this YouTube channel because we now have a WASA Distance Education Center YouTube. So that channel will have all the classes. So it already has the Term 1A classes. It's being uploaded there. You simply go to the playlist and you will find MAP 4C, PLAR English, PLAR History, PLAR Geography, OLC 4O, and ENG 4C. They are available. So again, each course will have its own playlist where the broadcasted lessons can be accessed. You can check it out and click the subscribe button. When you click the subscribe button, every time a new video is uploaded or a new class is uploaded, it will notify you. So that's the advantage of subscribing. So again, as of now, I still have my YouTube where you can access the PLAR Science, the PLAR Geography, and PLAR History. But come term 1B, I will be getting rid of that because now I will be putting my new PLAR Science classes in the WASA Distance Education Center YouTube channel. It'll just make it easier. You will find everything in that channel. You can still request for a USB of classes. So if you don't have access to internet or Wi-Fi, just ask for a flash drive. In this case, if you want the PLAR Geography classes, you simply use a USB port, and then the classes are named by component. So this one says PLAR Geography, then by lesson, then the key questions within that class follows. So you have PLAR Geography lesson 2, key questions 14 to 19. So if you're having problems with key question 15, you should be able to find it in this class. Students, just a reminder, if you are trying to access your NNEC Schools email, I had a message over the weekend that they couldn't get in there. It's saying it's an error found. Make sure that you sign out of all accounts before you try to log into your NNEC Schools. Sometimes you might not realize that you are already logged into another account. That's why it won't let you. So log out of all accounts or sign out of all accounts. and then try your email. So it will be your first name, so it could be Susan dot Smith, and then it's the day and month of your birthday, so it could be 2512 at NNEC schools.org. If for some reason you forget your password, we can reset it for you. Also, if you're still having problems, we are able to activate your email. If you decide to submit your culminating for marking, or if you have key questions already completed, there are several ways for you to submit them. You can use your iPhone Notes app by simply scanning your completed work, or you can also take a picture of your completed work and send it through Facebook Messenger. You can also send it through Google Classroom, or if you want, if you're working on it on Google Sheets, simply click the share button and it will unlock it, and then you would put in my email address, jmercer@nnec.on.ca, and then it will share it with me. You can still have your DEC fax or scan it for you, or if you're around town, you can drop it off at 74 Front Street. We still have the WASA outdoor mailbox on the side entrance. Make sure you put your name on your key questions or in your culminating so that we know who it came from. And as always, if you have other concerns or questions, please do not hesitate to contact one of us here at the office. As I mentioned earlier, we are on week 7. It says there physical geography. So again, we're about finished lesson 1. We can then move on to lesson 2. So we're a little bit ahead, but that's okay. We can look at the culminating activities both for PLAR history and geography if we have extra time. Make sure to submit your work as you complete them. So if you are doing the key questions, you do not have to complete all of lesson 1 and all of lesson 2 before you can start submitting work. If you want, you can submit as you're completing them, so I can give you some feedback. If you need help, make sure that you contact me. So here's an example of the mark sheet that you'll receive once your work is assessed or marked. So you can see that in key questions, the key questions in lesson 1, there are 13 altogether, and then key questions for lesson 2 starts at key question 14 and ends at key question 31. Let me just double check. The last key question we completed. So we only have 3 more key questions left in lesson 1, key questions 11 to 13. We have 1 to 10 already finished. Okay, that's all done. So we will finish 11, 12, and 13 today. Okay, let's look at the topics. So we finished with industry sectors. We have primary, secondary, tertiary, and we also looked at the different industries in Ontario. We looked at primary industries, for example, mining in Ontario. We looked at forestry and in agriculture. We also did secondary industries, manufacturing, we talked about the mill, and then tertiary industries, tourism. So the last 3 topics we have are urban geography on page 13, military geography on page 14, and then the Commonwealth of Nations on pages 14 to 16. Okay, so military geography. Actually, we were going to look at urban first. Let me just pull it up here. Okay, urban geography. Okay, this is what we looked at from our last class. We said that in urban geography is the study of how cities have grown and changed over time. We looked at things like how cities are built, how people are spread out within them, and the problems that cities face, like pollution or traffic. And then we said as cities get bigger, you have more issues coming up, like losing valuable farmland because the city needs space to grow. We also looked at, on the last part of the class, was the ecological footprint, and that just means that's the amount of land and resources needed to support the lifestyle of a person. Or it could be to support the lifestyle of the country or business. As an example, the more energy, food, and materials we use, the bigger our ecological footprint becomes. This means it can put pressure on the environment, and it can lead to problems like deforestation or pollution. If you have larger cities, then that tends to produce more products, which can lead to increased pollution. You're looking at factories in big cities often releasing waste into the air and water, and then you have more people also wanting to move to a big city for jobs and opportunities, which means that the demand for land goes up. As a result, it causes land prices to rise, which can make it hard for some people to afford housing. So now, with more residents in the city, you'll also generate more waste, such as food scraps, plastic, and other garbage. For example, a busy city can produce tons of waste every day, which can overwhelm landfills and create litter problems. So as you can see, all these challenges can come up as the city expands. In order to address these issues, careful planning is needed. So it might include creating better waste management systems, developing green spaces, and just making sure that there are enough affordable housing options for everyone. Okay, up next is military geography. So military geography is a special area of geography that looks at natural and man-made features of the land that can influence military operations. If you're following along, that's page 15 in your lesson book. For example, you have things like mountains, rivers, roads can impact how armies move and plan their strategies. After the Second World War, one important organization that was created is the United Nations, or the UN. The UN includes most countries around the world and works to promote peace, security, and economic growth. The United Nations building, its main headquarters, is located at 760 United Nations Plaza, Manhattan, New York City, New York. That's what it looks like. It's on the bottom of the screen there. The UN has 4 main purposes. So first is that it promotes peace and security. So what it does is tries to prevent conflicts and then helps maintain peace between countries. It aims to resolve disputes and basically keep people safe. Secondly, it protects human rights. The UN supports and promotes the rights of all people, making sure that everyone is treated fairly and with dignity regardless of their background. Number 3, it provides humanitarian aid. So the UN helps people in need, for example, emergencies like natural disasters or wars by providing food, shelter, and medical assistance. And number 4, it encourages development. So the UN works to improve the quality of life in countries around the world by promoting education, healthcare, and economic growth. One important part of the United Nations is the Security Council. Now, the Security Council includes 5 permanent members. That's the US, Britain, China, France, and Russia. There are also 10 rotating members who change every few years. The Security Council meets quickly to deal with international crises. What is Canada's role in the Security Council? Canada's role is to help protect civilians in countries that are affected by war or disasters. So for example, during the war in the Middle East, Canada sent peacekeeping forces to help maintain peace. Currently, in Lebanon, as of October 2024, Canada has announced an additional $15 million in humanitarian assistance to help civilians affected by ongoing conflict in Lebanon. So this funding will support organizations providing essential services. Essential services means food, water, and emergency health care. The Canadian Red Cross will also receive aid to assist in their humanitarian response efforts. So here you have it. You can see a picture here, the division of the UN. As I said, it has 5 permanent members. Calls into session to respond quickly to international crisis. So you have Canada's role in it is to protect civilians in war or disaster, supplies medicines, food, clothing, shelter, helps those in poverty, and promotes human rights. Next up is the Commonwealth of Nations. Actually, there's a little section here on page 15. So Canada was on the Security Council 6 times. Each time a country is on the Security Council, it serves 2 years. The last time Canada was on the Security Council was from 1999 to 2000. Canada tried to get on the Security Council in 2010 and 2020, but was not chosen. So remember, there's rotating members. On the bottom of the screen, you can see non-permanent members of the UN Security Council with most years or number of terms since 1945, so since it started. Japan has been on it for 11 terms, Brazil 10 terms, Argentina 9, India 7, Pakistan 7, Colombia and Italy both 7, and as I said, Canada 6, same with Germany, Netherlands, and Poland. So you have the 5 non-elected permanent, we said was USA, China, Russia, France, and Great Britain, and then you have 10 non-permanent members, so when they're elected, it's only for 2-year terms. Okay, now we can move on to the Commonwealth of Nations. So the Commonwealth of Nations, often called the Commonwealth, is a group of independent countries. Most of these countries used to be a part of the British Empire. It was once known as the British Commonwealth of Nations or just the British Commonwealth. Some people still use that name either because of the history or to tell it apart from other commonwealths. For example, like the Commonwealth of Australia or the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. On the screen, you can see the Commonwealth countries. There are 54 member countries of the Commonwealth, and it is colored in green there, so you can see Canada is part of it. You can see some of the countries here: Nigeria, especially down South Africa there. Australia is part of it. India is part of it. You notice United States is not. Okay, so let's look at that. So Queen Elizabeth II was the leader or head of state of the 16 Commonwealth countries. After she passed away on September 8th, 2022, her son, King Charles III, became the head of the Commonwealth. Now, as the head of the Commonwealth, it doesn't give him political power over the other member countries. Instead, he is seen as a symbol of unity for the nations in the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth is a group of countries with different economic backgrounds. It gives these countries a chance to work closely together as equals. That means one country doesn't have power over the other. All Commonwealth countries are independent and treated equally. They work together through friendship and respect. They share ideas, skills, and knowledge to help each other. And the main goal of the Commonwealth are encouraging economic cooperation between member countries, promoting democracy, human rights, and good governance in its member nations. The Commonwealth is not a political union. And then the United Kingdom does not have control over the other Commonwealth members. And then some countries in the Commonwealth, called Commonwealth realms, recognize the British monarch as their head of state. Okay, so some do recognize the British monarchs or the British, for example, King Charles III as their head of state. And there's a picture of the king there. So members, there are 1.8 billion people, which is about 30% of the world's population. The highest number or Commonwealth country by population with 1 billion people in 2001 was India. We have Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Nigeria. Each have more than 100 million people. The smallest member is Tuvalu with only 11,000 people. The Commonwealth nations together cover about 25% of the world's land area. Australia, Canada, so Canada is the second largest country by area, and India each have over 1.5 million square miles of land. In order for countries to join the Commonwealth, they have to agree to its main goals. Members also need to have a current, so this is important, a current or past connection to the United Kingdom or another Commonwealth country. However, not all members have had direct ties to the United Kingdom. So having said that they have to have a current or past connection to the UK, we know that Canada was once a colony of Britain. Okay, so that's the tie there, and Canada is part of the Commonwealth of countries. Mozambique is the only country in the Commonwealth that never had any connection to the British Empire or another Commonwealth country. Mozambique is a former colony of Portugal. It became a member in 1995 after its first democratic elections in 1994. Here is a picture of the leaders of the Commonwealth member states, and they met with His Majesty King Charles III at Marlborough House. So that's the headquarters of the Commonwealth Secretariat. So you can see him, he's right in the middle there. So who doesn't belong? Well, Charles de Gaulle suggested twice that France should apply to join the Commonwealth, even though France was never a part of the British Empire. For centuries, English and British kings called themselves King of France, but France never became a Commonwealth member. So this idea was related to an earlier proposal by Churchill during World War II to combine the British and French governments, but it never happened. There was also a suggestion for Israel to join the Commonwealth, but most Israelis were against it. And despite being ruled by Britain in the past, these countries have never joined the Commonwealth. So here's a list of who doesn't belong. You have Egypt, Iran, Bahrain, Jordan, Kuwait, Oman, United States, and Hong Kong. Under the modern Commonwealth, so since 1949, independent countries from Africa, the Americas, Asia, Europe, and the Pacific, they have joined the Commonwealth. Again, membership today is based on voluntary cooperation between countries as equals. The last 4 countries to join are Rwanda, Mozambique, Gabon, and Togo. And again, they do not have any historical connections to the British Empire. Okay, so that is the end of lesson 1. So let's look at the key questions that we have left to do in lesson 1. So key question 12. What is the Commonwealth of Countries? That means you just need to explain it. So you have the Commonwealth of Countries. Tell me what that means. It says who is entitled to be a member of the modern Commonwealth. That means who can be a part of it. So you can start off with in order to be a member. What is it that you need to do? Okay, and then the last there's a third part of that. I don't know why that's missing. You just see here. Okay, I'll just let you know what the last question is for key question 13. So for key question 13, the question says, the third part of key question 12. Oops. So why is Canada a part of this organization? So why is Canada a part of the Commonwealth? Okay, and I'm just going to let you know now the answer is not because it has the biggest land area. That's not the reason why. So for 1 mark, why is Canada a part of the organization? So why is Canada a part of the Commonwealth? And then finally, the last key question for key question 13, which is the end of lesson 1, it says name Okay, the 4 countries. Now this is the key here. Who are the newest member of the Commonwealth? So you're just naming them. So they're the newest member, and they also do not have any historical ties to the British Empire. So that's the final question for lesson 1. So you're naming 4 countries that are the newest member of the Commonwealth, and they do not have any historical ties to the British Empire. Okay, let's now move on to lesson 2. Now, lesson 2, you will see this on the cover page of lesson 2. Everything you need there to get a hold of me, or if you need to contact the office, is on that cover page. The first thing we will look at in lesson 2 is defining physical geography. So we will look at regions on page 4, regional diversity on page 5, landform regions on page 5, and Canadian Shield on page 6, Hudson Bay Lowlands on page 7, and the Great Lakes St. Lawrence Lowlands on page 7. So I think that's probably how far we will get with lesson 2 in today's class. Learning goals, keep this in mind when you are reading the lesson or when we're going over the lesson. I can identify the different regions in Canada, so that's what we'll keep in mind for now. There are other learning goals, but we will look at those as we get into the lesson. Okay, here we are. Physical geography. So physical geography is the study of the Earth's natural features and processes, focusing on the physical aspects of the planet. Okay, because it is physical geography. We just finished with human geography. So this includes the formation of landforms like mountains, valleys, and plains, as well as the identification of different land regions. So again, physical, so you're looking at physical characteristics, land, climate, bodies of water, animal life. Physical features, that's also known as topography. These are the natural land formations that make up the surface area. Oceans, mountains, lakes, rivers, those are all physical features. In addition, we're also looking at the environment, climate patterns, and ocean currents. So physical geography explores the distribution and movement of living things like plants, animals, humans, and how they're interacting with their surroundings over time. So this branch of geography helps us understand how natural forces shape the world we live in. Here are other examples of physical geography. Meteorology, that's studying the weather. Cartography, the study of map making. You have geology, the study of the history of the Earth through rock formations. Astronomy, the study of planets, stars, and other heavenly bodies. We looked at that in, if you did PLAR science. That's one of the terms we Looked at zoology, study of animals, botany, study of plants and plant life, and volcanology. And yep, you guessed it, the study of volcanoes. Next up is regions. So regions, a region is any area with a set of defined characteristics. Some regions have natural boundaries, so it might be mountains or rivers. Others are divided by imaginary lines. If you look at the map of Canada, it's divided into 10 provinces and 3 territories, which are classified as regions. We have people called cartographers. They are experts at making maps to show regions. They also study the geography of an area, so they can collect data to make maps, and they can show current information and trends. They use art, science, and technology to make these maps. They are also used by governments and companies for political, cultural, and educational reasons. Governments and other organizations may use the maps for published materials and resources, such as they might use them for archaeological maps or globes, maritime charts. So for example, you might have for fishing, for the fishing industry, military maps, road atlases, statistical maps, or if you're tourist, so if you're not familiar with the area, you might use a tourist map. Many maps have lines of longitude and latitude to define time zone regions. We will look at longitude and latitude more in depth at the end of lesson 2. That's our last topic. Latitude lines measure how far north or south a place is from the equator, and then longitude lines measure how far east or west a place is from the prime meridian. So again, that's the last topic we will look at for PLAR geography. A special type of map that's useful for marine charts and regions is what's called a Winkel triple projection. So the Winkel triple map projection shows you the map. It's rounder in shape. There are advantages to it. Minimal or small amounts of distortion in size of land, distance, and direction. However, you also have a disadvantage with this type of map projection. There's a distortion near north. So there's the North Pole and the South Pole, and the latitude lines are curved. On the top part of the screen, you can see how the areas are broadly divided by physical characteristics. So again, we're talking about regions. These are the imaginary lines that we have mentioned. So you can see the imaginary line between the border between Quebec and Ontario. If you're traveling to Manitoba, so for example, if you're going to Winnipeg, you will see the sign that says "Welcome to Manitoba," and then as you're going back, you can see the sign that says "Welcome to Ontario." You do not actually see the line. That's why it's called imaginary, but there's a boundary there. Okay, next up is regional diversity. So there are, if you're following along in your book, okay, you're on page 5. We have Canada having different climatic regions, cultural regions, and topographical regions. So that's the 3. That's the regional diversity. So 1 is climatic, 2 is cultural, and 3 is topographical. So first, let's look at climatic regions. Climate is a region's weather over a long period. So if you're trying to decide where you would like to live, you might decide on the climate of a region. Canada has 7 climatic zones. The mid-latitude prairies experience continental extremes. So for example, they have cold winters and hot, dry summers. And then all of southern Canada is classified as temperate. That means that it has 4 seasons. Winter touches all the zones except for the Pacific, where warm winds promote a mild, rainy climate year-round. So here you can see a map, and it says climate zones and annual precipitation. Can you figure out which region are you in? So it shows you the green part says subarctic, the purple is Atlantic, blue is Pacific, the dark yellow is the prairie, and then the brown part is the Great Lakes, St. Lawrence lowlands. Okay, the next one is cultural region. So we just looked at climatic. Now let's look at cultural. Canada is vast and diverse, both in terms of its physical landscape and its cultural makeup. So different regions have unique histories, they have unique languages, customs, and ways of life. So these differences are shaped by factors such as geography, that means where it's located, the history, immigration, and indigenous cultures. Canada is home to many different cultures from around the world. You have people who have moved to Canada from places like Asia, Europe, the Far East, South America, and more. Here's an example. There are various culture regions of Canada. For example, Vancouver. Vancouver has 20% Chinese in that area. First Nations, there are more than 600 First Nations communities in Canada, which represent more than 50 nations and 50 Indigenous languages. Specifically with Ontario, well, culturally it's a mix of British, Indigenous, and immigrant influences, with significant diversities in cities like Toronto, for example. It has one of the most multicultural cities in the world. Okay, the last topic we're going to look at in regional diversity is topographical regions. When you think of topographical, just think of landforms. So Canada has a diverse landscape, and it can be divided into several landform or topographical regions. So think mountains or lakes, for example, the Great Lakes. There's the prairie plains, there's the lowlands, and the Arctic regions. Canada's geography has made it necessary to build different types of transportation, like bridges, railways, roads, and air travel, to cover the country's huge distances. So if you want to go from one province to another, you're traveling or using these different types of transportation. Canada has both large cities with big populations and wide rural areas used for farming. So big cities, places like Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, and Calgary, these are busy cities with lots of people. They are centers for business, education, and culture. Rural areas, these are outside the cities. So Canada has a large areas of farmland, especially in the prairies like Saskatchewan and Alberta, where crops like wheat are grown, and in places like southern Ontario and Quebec. So on the left-hand side, you can see that's urban, or the city, and then on the right, that's rural. You can tell the difference by the big buildings, and there's more green area in rural areas. Okay, we're going to stop here. So what I want you to do is continue reading on page 5 with, under landform regions, and then when we come back on, oh yeah, on Thursday. If I am traveling for sure on Thursday, then we will not have a class, and I will make up a class for PLAR geography. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you.